CBS Local Sports. I am Brandon Robinson here with Jake Brown. We are of Brown and Scoop on CBS Radio's Play That Podcast Network. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere in between. We're here in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center at the 2016 NBA Draft. Scouting at everything that's going on, from talking to Ben Simmons, talking to some of the other guys that Brandon Ingram and some of the other guys that have gone drafted. Kind of an improbable draft so far. And here to talk about that, I think I know you, my co-host at Brown and Scoop.
I think I know him. I don't know. You look kind of familiar.
I look better now in the suit. So do you, man. I like the tie, by the way.
I used to dress like a bum sometimes. I look pretty fresh today.
You all right, but enough of the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Jake, you said that you kind of found it interesting how the Florida draft went. Obviously, Ingram and Russell going, the way that we thought they were going. I said Russell.
Simmons.
Russell Simmons. That was last year.
You know.
But no, in all seriousness, the first two draft picks, Sixers, Lakers, you knew where it was going to go, but 3 and down, you kind of was a little confusing, yeah?
Well, 3 and 4 were crazy because 3, you see Jaylen Brown go. He's supposed to go 5 and 10, and then 4, you see Dragon Bender, who's good,
Croatia,
but 4th pick. Phoenix a little bit of a reach there when they could have got a guy like Jamal Murray who fell a little bit. So that's kind of been the story, the shakeup starting at 3, and then it was kind of trickling down. We also see 5, 6 European players, but you include Thon Maker. You can include that outside the U.S. from Australia. So we see a lot of guys outside talent outside of the United States, which has really been interesting to me.
Jake Brown, Brandon Robinson here in Brooklyn, New York at the 2016 NBA Draft. Now, you talked about the European influence. Obviously, Buddy Hield going number 6 to the New Orleans Pelicans. A guy that's from the Bahamas. One of the reporters that was in the media room was talking to him and talked about how much the European influence was big. Obviously, guys like Peja Stojakovic, Dirk Nowitzki, and some of the other European guys that came in last decade. And now you're kind of seeing a Canadian influence. He played for the Canadian team, as well as just the Caribbean. Your assessment of just Buddy Hield and just that connection as well. You know your team light skin, so that connection there.
I'm team ultra light skin, but we always joke about that.
Brown and Scoop.
Brown and Scoop. But Buddy Hield and Anthony Davis are going to be fun to watch. You got a guy who can shoot from the outside. The guy loves to shoot. He said that in the press conference. He said he's an offensive playmaker. Facebook Live, come on through. Come on through. But I think his problem is his defense. We know that. We know he can score. He can light it up. He didn't do it in the game that mattered most, but the rest of the season he got them there. So Buddy Hield is going to be interesting with Anthony Davis. I'm going to see those alley-oop combos. It's going to be fun. Shooting guard, small forward combo. He's going to be explosive. I think he could immediately get 15 points a game in his rookie season.
We're here at the Barclays Center, Facebook Live, Brown and Scoop, right in front of the Nets locker room. We got some people that are in the hallway talking. Hey, ladies, come on through.
Come on through. We're having a party here.
Brown and Scoop here at the Barclays Center. So we talked a little bit, speaking of the Barclays Center, the Brooklyn Nets got the 20th pick. It's right here. I want to always touch it. But no, honestly, the Brooklyn Nets got the 20th pick via the Indiana Pacers, who earlier today traded Thaddeus Young for the 20th pick. I'm going to miss seeing Thaddeus Young at the Barclays Center. I go back to see Thaddeus Young when he was in Philadelphia 76ers. I spent 5 years in Philly. A guy that can hit the outside shot, can take you off the dribble, a guy that can rebound, a guy that really aided Brook Lopez a lot throughout the Nets' doldrums the last couple of years. It's going to be very interesting to see Brooklyn without him. Obviously, that is going to be signing with the Nets last season. But I think that, the Nets, like the Chicago Bulls, are making a transition. I think I didn't understand the Bulls' trade on their end, but I think, obviously shipping Derrick Rose is benefiting them, and they're trying to get a fresh start and build around other pieces. But as it directly relates to the Nets, I was kind of puzzled when I saw that selection earlier today. But I don't know.
A couple of things to point out.
Okay.
One, at first, I was, because you know what, the guy's got a friendly deal with the new collective bargaining agreement. $12 million a year is like a happy deal at this point. I mean, we're going to see guys who aren't that good making $20 million next year. So I think in that sense, he was a good deal for them. But you have to look at the fact he had 4 years left. The Nets are 3 years away from really being relevant, and they want to get Young. So what they do, they get the 20th pick.
No pun intended. They got rid of Young and they got Young.
I didn't even understand that.
When Jay-Z was saying,
Young Hope. But I can understand it from the fact that he's He's not a guy who's going to be a part of the plan these next couple of years.
Sure.
But he was a double-double machine, and I don't think he's a difference maker, but you have to have a couple of veteran presences there. But when you want to counterpoint that, Scoop, they go out and get Karis LeVert, a guy who's been injured a lot at Michigan, but was really going to be a lottery pick if healthy. In the games he played, I think he played 16 games, he was shooting 51%. He's a guard, gets to the basket. From what I heard, his mid-range jumper, he's only 25%. If he can work on that, get that better, he could be good. But, Scoop, high-risk player. The guy's been hurt 3 years. I mean, when you have knee injuries all throughout college, that's not good.
CBS Local Sports, Facebook Live. I am Brandon Robinson. Follow me on Twitter at Scoop. Here with Jake Brown. Follow him on Twitter at Jake Brown Radio. We are part of Brown and Scoop. And also, we have to mention that during the draft, as we're still rolling, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Orlando Magic made a draft day deal, sending Serge Ibaka to the Orlando Magic in exchange for
Victor Ilyasova, Victor
Oladipo, and the Sabonis kid.
Domantas Sabonis. And before we wrap it up here, again, we're on CBS Local Sports, Facebook Live, CBSLocalSports.com, CBS Sports Radio. Check
We're
that
fresh
out.
faces. We're new here.
I think the overall consensus, what I thought immediately, was that the Magic gave up way too much for Serge Ibaka. I mean, you give up your star guard, you give up your first-round pick, and you give up a solid forward, a swingman, and Ersan Ilyasova. That's a lot to give up for Serge Ibaka. No disrespect to Serge Ibaka, but he's not a top 5 big man in the NBA. And we're in a league, Scoop, where the big man is kind of diminished.
Yeah, but Ibaka is not your traditional big man. He's a guy that can hit a spot up threes. He can block. He can get to the basket. And you saw that during the Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors. They did lose, but Serge Ibaka is kind of expendable with the emergence of Steven Adams. So for OKC, there's a plausible argument to get that, and you do get Sabonis as well, correct?
It's a steal for the Thunder. I mean, the Thunder won that deal, and they are going to get so much better with this.
But Orlando has made a conscientious effort to kind of shape their team a certain way. Obviously, new coach, Skiles is gone. You added Tobias Harris. Victor Oladipo left, but they still retain Brandon Jennings, if I'm not mistaken. And I also think that they add a veteran leader, a guy that has been to the NBA Finals, that has played with Kevin Durant. A guy that's considered old in certain pretenses now, but a guy that can not only mentor but can still play. It's not like Elton Brand, who came to the Philadelphia 76ers earlier this season to mentor, some of the younger guys on the team. A guy that's going to come in and play right away. And I think that although OKC on paper got the better end of this deal, I think in the long run they shed some salary cap space because they were going to have to really pay Victor Oladipo. I don't think they were going to pay him this one. And then I also think Orlando's not done. Stan Gundy and those guys made it to the NBA playoffs this season, I think in some ways defensively they upgraded. But added more here at Brown and Scoop on CBS Local Sports. We don't want to bore you.
We'll come back later for a little first-round recap, but overall feel very interesting, very surprising. Make sure you check out Brown and Scoop daily on Play.it/Brown and Scoop, iTunes, and Spotify. We'll check back with you later, guys. See you.